I have been convinced recently by a number of people that it would be a good idea if I make a tutorial and stuff, because I've been getting a lot of requests of how I do videos in Source Filmmaker right now, because well, since that last one anyway, I've actually got quite a few requests in a short time period. And instead of just going through a load of different things on their own, I figured I'm going to do the same thing I did to one of my friends that asked over a Skype call, and I'm just going to literally make a video and you can watch me do it, and I'm going to explain what I'm doing from start to finish. And I've come up with an idea for something I can make quite simply for this. And what that's going to be is, I'm going to have a spy. He walks around a corner and then he aims his gun and shoots it, because that way I'm going to have a bit of walking and what the fuck? Oh, bugger, I forgot to create a new project. I opened one. Sorry about that, my bad, I wasn't concentrating. I was going to have a spy walk around a corner and he shoots a gun, because this way I'm going to have a bit of animation. There's a particle effect I could use on the gun when it shoots, and also I could have play about the lighting, since he's going to be moving around, not just the same static pose. I suppose I could put some locks on there with hats and stuff, make him look stylish. So just, god damn. There we go. So this is that video, by the way, if you wanted. Yeah, that's not this tutorial. So yeah, new tutorial. No, I do not. Right. For this, I'm going to use the. I think I'll go with. If I can remember the name, I'll go with Nucleus. That'll do. I'll tell you what, this map is actually quite dark, so it'll be a good place to have some lighting to play about with. And here we go. Right, let's create a new camera, figure out where we're going to have our shot. Now, I was thinking somewhere with a doorway, so we can have the spy walk in like this, and then he shoots there. So let's have a camera there, and I did not select the camera because I'm a dipshit. So let's have that there. I normally have the thing zoomed in a bit, I don't know why, but I just do. Makes it look more cinematic. Right, so the first one we can do is go to existing element and add the camera. I'm sure if you've watched all the Valve tutorials, which I recommend you do, there's a lot of things here you'll probably already know. This is just basically putting them all together and showing a different thing. But I think the best thing I can probably cover in here is how I developed a technique of doing animation off the pose-to-pose system, because I've actually found that quite a good thing. Right, HWM spy. I think I'll go for a blue spy. Okay. Now, the only reason I've been able to get some animation techniques going in this is because I know you're probably gonna not believe me yet, but Source Filmmaker is a lot like Gmod in animation, especially with this method. And what I mean by that is, when I do pose-to-pose animation, whenever I used to do stop motion in Gmod, it was one frame, new animation, one frame, new pose, one frame, new pose. And in pose-to-pose, you're literally just doing less of that and more transitioning. And how I do it is I do every 3 frames, so 1, 2, 3, I'll have a new pose. Then I round it, controlled there. But before we get into that, I'm going to have to create my first pose. And hopefully you know about IK rigs. I'm sure most of you do. So we'll use that. Let's get this spy into a pose. Actually, I need to move him off shot if he's gonna walk in. I've actually got the scale of the spy a bit wrong here from the camera. I thought he was going to be a bit bigger. To move in a bit. Alright. Now, let's very easily make a starting pose. to his feet can always be a bit annoying. Now I'm going to start off here by making a walk cycle, and I haven't really mastered them at all. In fact, I'm not like professional at this all, but I'm going to try my best to make one for this tutorial. So if he's going to be holding a gun, I suppose we can have him holding it there, and just so I can get an idea of what I'm doing as I'm making this, I'm going to put a gun in his hand. Now I think if he's going to be aiming the gun, it should be an ambassador. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, I'll use that one. Christmas one. There's a way I can use a lock as well. Also, if you're using sequences, one thing you can do is actually lock the weapon bone from there, and it'll actually automatically just shoot it back into where it's supposed to be on the animation if you use this 0 control instead of default. But since I've actually moved this animation manually, the weapon bones are going to be out of place, which means I'm going to have to pose it manually, which is all the fun, isn't it? That's why you do this. And I'm on the phone. Hello? Hello. You're a cold caller, I don't care. Right. Okay. If you live in England, you get cold calls. I don't know about other countries. If you don't get them, you are very lucky. It's always the same bloody generic voice. Why the fuck is this moving the same thing? Oh. Excuse my language. This isn't a swearing tutorial zone. Press control, you can move a bit slower with the camera, I think. It's kind of like no clip. I'm not really too sure why, but whenever you post fingers, you always get this slight lag. It's kind of confusing, since fingers are kind of simple. It's just literally a couple of bones. I mean, I don't lag whenever I move the whole rig. It's one of those things, I guess. So, I suppose if I'm editing, I could probably just speed this up, or I don't know, it depends actually. I suppose you're probably going to want to see this. I don't want to be speeding anything up. Yeah, I could probably do this a bit faster if this wasn't lagging. This isn't the actual video lagging, it's just the source Filmmaker. It does this whenever you try and post fingers, or whenever I do it anyway. I'm not sure if you get it as well. Last time they updated source Filmmaker was months ago. I kind of wonder if they're working on a big fix for all this stuff. So now we've got his hand in a... that'll do. On a pose there. We'll find his hand, which is there. We'll move that onto the weapon bone playhead. So now that's gonna stick to there. Yeah. Okay. So we can forget about the ambassador now. Pretend that's not there. Well, don't pretend that's there, not there, but forget I'm talking. So the spy's gonna be walking and having a revolver in the air, a bit like a James Bondy spy style thing. And let's see. We don't want his other hand. No, actually no. Okay, I'll see if I can get a walking animation going here. Now, bookmark is M. I don't know if you know. That means you can browse between them by pressing the button that I don't know the name of. I hope you know these things, because I can't really think of how to explain them. If you haven't seen the pose-to-pose animation tutorial, I suggest you probably watch that before this, because this is more just the way I use it in depth. So whenever I do an animation, normally with like a character, I always try my best to keep it at 3 frames apart, because this keeps it at a fairly detailed level. Now I'll put his right leg forward first, and if you know about walking, try and imagine this is you walking so you can get a feel of how he's going to be posed. So if you're walking like this, you probably have your hand swinging back, and you'd have this one coming forward slightly, because since we developed from creatures that used to walk on all fours, we still have a bit of a movement in our arms. Now try your best to keep this, every pose, at same kind of thing, same kind of movement, because if not it might start to look a bit weird. So probably doing this a bit too fast, so I might have to slow down. But that's sometimes it only looks fast because it's there. When you round it out, sometimes it starts to look a bit better. Well, of course it's going to look better, but so this really at the minute is more about just getting the basic animation more than going into huge amounts of detail. Wait, have I done that wrong? Yeah, I think his arm should be... Wait, what? What have I done? Oh right, his yeah, it's more like his arm would more swing that way, wouldn't it? So really I'm going to want to do it that way. I guarantee since I'm rounding this, it's not going to quite look perfectly when the feet are on the ground. They're probably going to move slightly. And that's what's good about these arcade rigs. You can quite easily just edit the animation, and I can make the feet stay completely still. Looks like he's got a bit of a posing in there. You can just cycle through here and kind of get the feel. I haven't really been moving the pelvis roundish, so I think one thing you should probably not do is do the whole animation in one go, because the way I do it is I build up an animation by starting with the basic movement and going into detail. Also have some Coke with you as well, because it makes you buzzed. The drink. So we're just going to keep on going through with this animation, keeping it nice and simple. I know walking animations aren't really something that is simple, but as long as you practice, you can still get okay at it. Where's his hand gone? Something I always manage to do is I get the angle of the camera wrong before I have the shot, but it's alright really. As long as I'm not doing that in the final product. I should probably have his hips and his spine move a bit more there. Right. So his hand should be moving forward there. Even if you do make some errors, that's what's good about these frames. You can just easily edit it before you round it off. Even if you round it off, you can still undo all the rounding and then redo it again. You've got to be quite patient with these things as well, because it's not something you're going to be able to do very, very quickly. You have to spend a lot of time doing these things, and you're going to make a lot of errors. Like there. I should have moved his foot down a bit more really. get a feel of actually how you're going to walk when you're doing this. Let's keep on going with this. See what the final product looks like, because I'm not guaranteeing it's going to look brilliant, because the first part of it, the first brush of animation probably never does. But that doesn't look too bad in the frame so far. So where are we? About there. So I want him to turn slightly, so in these frames I'm going to have them start turning the pelvis ever so slightly, and maybe put his foot a bit more forward. I didn't actually do very much walking animation apart from the tripod in my last video, but I suppose that still counts since that's actually 3. Sorry, I can't count. 3 feet rather than 2. It's still kind of difficult to animate, but it's all about practice. I'll get to all the things like lighting and that later. Right now I just want to do a simple animation with the spy walking. Start to get his feet to curve a bit with his body. Move his hand up a little bit. I'm starting to get a bit wrong there because I want to slow it down. Now before we start this animation of him actually no, we can actually stop in there. Of him, let's get to the point where he's going to stand still. I think we can start the or stop the animation of him walking there. Provided I actually get there. Right. So now we've got this basic animation going there. I'm going to select all of him, and this is how I do my easing or rounding. I select the first bit or last bit of that frame, the first frame, and then go 2 into the next one, and then I shift the mouse wheel to bring out this. And I just have 2 out that way. So basically, that eases in these frames without disrupting these 2, which we'll get onto next. So I'm just going to keep on doing that, and I'm kind of hoping this is going to look alright, but no, my luck, it probably won't. But that's all where practice comes in, because this is the method more than anything. I kind of chose something that's a bit hard, which is walk cycles, because it's not something I'm fully practiced in, but doing this tutorial is going to give me a bit of practice as well. And I actually did a walk cycle the other day with a spy on this same map, which is kind of what gave me the idea for this tutorial. And it didn't look too bad. Yeah, that looks fucking horrible. It's quite static because it looks like he's crapped himself. Let's see if we can't make this look a bit more fluent. First off, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make his pelvis a bit more movable. Actually no, I'll make his feet stick more, because his feet are going to kind of move a bit whenever he's in position. And the one thing I kind of find kind of annoying about these IK rigs is the fact that they'll do this thing where they actually stretch the feet up. So I should probably make the end pose a bit. seconds than that instead. That looks a bit... It's a bit of a better ending there. So what can we improve here? I think now you're editing, you don't as much have to follow these frames. In fact, it would probably be easy if you didn't. So try and get a bit of movement in here. Just try and think about how you can work. Probably didn't really do enough movement there, to be honest. Let's try it anyway. That's buggered up his foot already. Good start. More because I haven't really animated his pelvis. This is looking kind of awkward. Do remember I'm kind of a Gmod animator more than anything, so I'm still getting used to this. I suppose if we move his chest a bit, that'd probably help get him more into the rhythm. I think what I might do is I'll lock his the rotation of his head, so it's going to stop him from looking in a different direction more than anything. So what can we begin to do is get a little bit of chest movement there. God damn it, you know, I really hate when you can't see what you've bloody done, because it's really hard to see it. This is what I basically do, I just go over and over again and add more and more details to it. It starts to look a bit conceivably nice. But this takes time. What we could really do is make his feet a bit more actually like impact the ground. That makes it look a bit more realistic. It's kind of the way that this isn't really like actually touching the ground, it just kind of slides into it. I think I'm going to move his foot forward there a bit. This is really what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep on going through and get this to look better. Now, I'm not perfect. That is already starting to make his feet look a bit more believable, at least from the camera I'm at now. Getting his feet to look more like they're actually swinging into it rather than just sliding into it. This animation kind of needs a bit at the end there. always hate the animations before they look alright. This looks more like he's just kind of walking into it. I think it's because his pelvis is just constantly in movement. Maybe he needs a bit more. Needs a bit more stop-starting vibe to it. When I said it's not going to be easy and it's going to take time, by time I actually meant quite a lot of hours to get something that looks really nice. Because animation, detailed animation, is quite hard to do. Especially since this program was more for editing animations than actually making them. It doesn't mean you can't do it. I must say though, whenever I do walking cycles so far, I've always been building off the sequences. But I would do that normally, but I suppose making your own ones is something I have to do really. Why is he spazzing out there? His hand, isn't it? The reason he probably looks kind of awkward is because the fact his feet kind of move at the same time. Looks a bit there. I think it's probably wise because his feet just seem to be floating behind him. And this is what I hate, when the thing starts to drag it along with him. Actually make his foot do something realistic, which would be using the you can use the toes as well, but we'll get to that in a minute. This is going to look a bit more fluent. This is getting slightly better. His bodywork needs a bit more to it. Not really too sure what though. Maybe you just need a bit of hip movement. Helps if you select the right area. Let's try and see what happens if we add a bit of hip movement like that. Because this is all going over and over again until something nice comes out. Because maybe from the madness. Look at his leg at the ending there. His foot up a bit more. more something you can probably take away than actually use, because I'm still learning ways of doing this myself. I think I put it way too close to it. Let me try and get the swing of his hand a bit better.